everyone? Welcome back to 996 The Howl. An odd game last night. Not really fun or entertaining. A bit of a slog at times, to be honest. But, better than their last outing in Calgary where they lost 9-1 last season. They lose 3-2 last night. The game deserved to go in overtime, and it's unfortunate the way the game ended. I'll get to that first. But, there's a lot of things to talk about this game, even though it wasn't such an entertaining game. We got Michelli and Gunther in the lineup with Cassian and Richie scratch. Second game in a row. They did that against Vancouver, where the Coyotes lost in overtime. And so second game in a row, 11 forwards and 7 defense. I expect, the next game's in Edmonton. I expect Cassian back in the lineup, unfortunately. Maybe, and I think I'm going to assume that Gunther will be scratched in favor of Cassian. I just feel like Michelli, he's getting points here and there, and he's outperforming Gunther. Gunther had a point-blank opportunity in the first period against Calgary. Didn't convert. He knew himself he had to bury that one. Just plays like that, he could have a huge impact on the game, but he's not converting. He's not having those amazing shots on net. And, just not executing, I feel. He had those 2 assists, maybe. Pretty sure it was in that Detroit game. But, he's a bit too quiet and unnoticeable through stretches of the game. He's good for, one really good opportunity in a game, but he's got to convert. But I'm jumping ahead. So the game starts amazingly for the Coyotes. If you could even remember that the Coyotes were playing good in this game. It started out with Christian Fischer with a partial breakaway, gets stopped. And then a reverse Uno card of how games usually go. The Coyotes found themselves with 2 back-to-back power plays in the first minutes of the game. Usually they're down on a penalty kill twice, maybe 3 times really early in a game, and then the opposition gets into the game. But this time it's the other way around. Coyotes on a back-to-back power play. They don't convert. Like I said, Gunther had an amazing opportunity set up by Schmaltz, just couldn't convert. They're out shooting Calgary 5-0 around 5 minutes into this game. There was a point where the Coyotes were out shooting the Calgary Flames 7-1, and then they found themselves being outshot 15-7. So it stopped right there for the Coyotes after those 2 power plays. The Coyotes just forgot to play hockey. Calgary scores makes it 1-0. Coyotes get a penalty, make it 2-0 just before the end of the first period. So it's 2-0. Calgary just finally started to play hockey. Coyotes didn't generate a shot after those first 2 power plays and some change. We go into the second period where Calgary continues to push the pace. The Coyotes didn't get a shot for the first 7 minutes in the second period. They were still hanging on to that 7-shot total, almost halfway through the second period. But then, finally, they just started thinking, hey, why don't we just throw pucks on net and see what happens? They did some of that. They were low danger, low quality shots, but it's better than getting no shots. So the Coyotes just start doing that around the middle of the second period, and then somehow Gostisbehere makes it 2-1 with a shot from the point, screened by Bukestad. We got assists from Chychrun and Michelli. Like I said, Michelli's getting points. Chychrun, we'll talk about him in a little bit as well. Just playing unbelievable. He's back to form, if not even better. And it's starting to feel like it's going to be so hard to move away from him. And a part of me thinks, you know what? Maybe he's having fun out there. Maybe he sees that the team culture has changed. They're competitive in literally every single game. They have chances to win every single game. Maybe he stays, but I know that's a little part of me. I know he's eventually going to go, but I'm loving that he just keeps upping his game every game, and his trade value is realistic. So many people on these hockey forums are like, Coyotes are asking for such a high price for Chychrun. It was because he was injured since March that no one's really seen him play. So obviously you're going to have some recency bias that, because he hasn't played, he's not worth that. But you got to watch these games, and I'm sure scouts and general managers of other teams are watching these games. With Chychrun, he's so noticeable. He's he's the best defenseman for the Coyotes. He makes plays. He gets pucks on net. Defensively, he's great too. His goal, which they made it 2-2 in the beginning of the third period, was a snipe show off like against momentum. Just a great play by Clayton Keller. Finds Chikrin and finds a little hole over the Calgary Flames goalie top shelf. It was 2-2. Couldn't believe it. Like, this was a slog for the Coyotes after a great start to the game. It was about 40-minute stretch of just boring hockey, but it was at least 5-on-5. The refs did not call another penalty after the Calgary Flames made it 2-0 for 40 minutes. And then for some reason, calls are being missed all over the place, both ways, against Calgary, against the Coyotes, but the refs were putting their whistles away, like I said, for 40 minutes. No special teams play, just 5-on-5, which is great. Even though it was a bit boring, it's great to see. I love when refs really don't have an impact on the game and the teams just figure it out. The best team wins. And then 5 minutes left in the game, the Coyotes get called for a penalty. Unfortunately, it's Chikrin. I don't think the penalty should have been called. It was a penalty if it was like the first or second period and nothing's really happening. I mean, the Calgary player had his back towards the Coyotes net. Like, it wasn't a high danger scoring chance. He even lost the puck before he got tripped by Chikrin. I just feel like the refs were not calling other calls. This call shouldn't have been made. This game deserved to go in overtime. No team was really commanding the other team at this point in the game. It was a bit back and forth, but if this penalty wasn't called, for sure this game is going into extra time. And unfortunately, the call gets made, and obviously Calgary scores. It's a power play late in the game with some skilled guys like Kadri and Huberdeau on the ice. So it was an unfortunate end, but I feel like the Coyotes really didn't deserve to win. They hung in there. Vejmelka played a good game. It did deserve to go in overtime, but I feel like for stretches of this game, the Coyotes were not playing well. When it was 2-0, I feel like this game could have easily got out of hand. It could have been another 9-1 game. Fortunately, it didn't turn out that way. And Coyotes lose. They get 20 shots on net. They're outshot 27-20. So, that's a low total for shots on goal. I've been, harping on that for a while now, that Coyotes need to get way more shots on goal. And you saw that in the second period. They went through a huge stretch of time with no shots on goal, and then just started throwing pucks on the net, just low danger, throwing the puck on net like other teams do. And, one found its way in. So just, even though it's a low danger chance, just you got to generate something, get a rebound. There's a time where the Calgary Flames goaltender tried to make a glove save, and he missed it, hit his glove, and fell right in front. I think it was Lawson Krause. Things like that. Things could happen, and you never know. Just throw the puck on net. Even though the Coyotes did score and make it 3-2, Coyotes had one more chance. It was Christian Fischer point blank. He couldn't convert. So there were opportunities for the Coyotes to push this into overtime, to even win this game. Like I said, Gunther missed a great chance. Fisher missed a great chance. Krause missed a great chance. It's, you got to capitalize and execute when you get those rare chances, especially in a low event game like this one. Coyotes, they're not doing too well recently, and I had to do a double take when I heard this, that they have one win in their last 10 games. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like the Coyotes are playing really good hockey, and that's because 3 of those other games were in extra time. So I guess for some reason my brain thinks, if it goes to shootout or overtime, that's a win for the Coyotes, considering how this season was advertised to us as another tank year. So to me, going to extra time, that's a win for the Coyotes, even though they lost all those games, 3 games that went to extra time. I think it was Nashville, Detroit, and Vancouver, all went to extra time, but they ultimately lost. So they count as losses in that stat of 1 win in the last 10. It is their longest stretch of not winning a game. It's up to 5 games now since they won against Carolina. I don't, think the Coyotes have a good chance on Wednesday night against McDavid and the Oilers. Maybe they could surprise me. I know the Oilers are struggling in net and on the back end, but if McDavid was playing this game like the Coyotes did against Calgary, like the Coyotes had no legs, no juice for a long stretch of time. McDavid, if he's on, he could just run around the Coyotes team and just make them pay Hopefully it's not a blowout. Last time they were in Edmonton, it was a blowout. So maybe like this Calgary game, it's more of a competitive game. Maybe we see Ingram in net. I'm sure there's going to be lineup changes. Like I said, it's Cassian's former team, so I expect Cassian to draw in the lineup. But the most important thing is this is the last game of their 14 game road trip. I'll do a review of the whole unprecedented road trip. Finally, it's ending, and finally, we'll start to see some games in Tempe again, starting this weekend against Boston. So, even though the Coyotes lost, they didn't play too well with stretches of the game. It was a 3-2 loss. They were in it. They gave themselves chances to win. Calgary didn't play their best, which also leads to why it was only 3-2. But, considering how last time they lost 9-1 and it was totally unwatchable from like 10 minutes into the game, good on the Coyotes for sticking in there, being engaged in the game, making it competitive, and made it somewhat enjoyable in the end because there was moments of that game where I was so bored and like even people in the Discord were like, "What is happening in this game?" Like it was so low event, but ultimately it turned into a somewhat watchable game that it should have went to overtime, a bad penalty call, but what are you gonna do? So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word, and as always, thank you for your support.